Hello and welcome to this episode and special coverage coming your way from Nile TV International regarding the latest developments in the Middle East and the efforts of Egypt to be de-escalating the tensions between the United States, Israel and Iran, especially that there will be ongoing consultations and negotiations that will be happening in Islamabad in Pakistan that will be taking place on Saturday, and to be shedding more light on the efforts of Egypt and the possibility of resuming the war once again between all three sides in the Middle East, affecting negatively the whole world. I'm honored to be having with me over the phone Major General Osama Kebeir, the advisor at the Command and Staff College. Thank you very much, Major General Osama Kebeir, for being with us today on Nile TV International. Major General Osama Kebeir.
Yes, sir. I hear you.
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for being with us tonight on this special coverage. Today we have seen President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi having contacts with the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, where they discussed the latest developments in the region and where she praised the efforts of Egypt to be de-escalating the situation in the Middle East and quite possibly ending the war after those 2 weeks. How did you see the efforts of Egypt throughout the past 38 or 40 days to be reaching to where we are now, a ceasefire between the United States, Israel and Iran, the same scenario that we have had in November between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and with the help and the mediation of Egypt?
Very well, and exactly as you said, that's an extensive pathway from the Egyptian diplomacy that started very active within the war in Gaza since the 7th of October 2023. And as everybody knows, that the diplomatic channel that the Egyptian diplomacy had held very precisely and very constantly to come up with a good resolution, and that ended by the agreement being signed in Sharm el-Sheikh on the 13th of October 2025. Of course, the IDF has violated this agreement for something like more than 2,500 violations. But however, collectively we can say Gaza now is in much better situation than before, and we are urging on the international community to to push on the Israeli government stop violations in the Gaza problem. When we move to the Iranian, United States-Israel war with Iran, of course, as you understand, Mr. Nader, that again the Egyptian diplomacy has held its all efforts and exerts too much power actually to start to contain the whole situation before it blasts in front of everyone. And if we remember that we talked, me and you, something like 20 days before about the shortages that been conducted by the Egyptian political leadership, and as well as the foreign minister, Mr. Badr Abdel Ati, when they visited the GCC countries in too many times within amid the war, trying to grasp all the information needed and to understand what's happening exactly from the leaders in the GCC, and through that channel route, and before that and up to now, the Egyptian diplomacy is touring the whole area and start like launching the messages. And we just said that Giorgia Meloni have contacted the Egyptian political leadership and praised the efforts and been exerted within this catastrophe situation. Yes, Egyptian diplomacy relationships and multi-relationships with the European Union is getting to a higher scale, much more and more as time passes on. And we hope that all the negotiators tomorrow, and I need to add something very, very important, which that what to be called the Committee of the Four, consisting of Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, and Pakistan, have held their meetings something like 10 days ago in Islamabad, Pakistan, and through these discussions were there, I would say a good succession happened. Finally, we found Donald Trump agrees on a ceasefire for 15 days to be consumed positively to reach to something like 45 days, ending to the full termination of our situation. So it is there. Egyptian diplomacy is there. It's with a very large scale. It's affirmative, positive, all the way, all the time. Yes, sir.
Yes, Major General Osama Kebeir, during the phone call between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, His Excellency President al-Sisi stated the importance of building on the ceasefire that we have reached in the Middle East, as he mentioned, according to the mediation and the Egyptian diplomacy, as well as the mediation efforts of Pakistan, Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, all those regional powers. How do you see the process of building on this ceasefire, especially that there will be negotiations taking place in Pakistan tomorrow?
Exactly, and as you can understand that the European Union, like collectively, all the states and countries within the European Union have been affected very badly and very negatively of the oil up high prices that jumped up suddenly after the locking of Hormuz Strait. And as you can understand, they do trust and they have a great confidence within the Egyptian diplomacy, as Egypt is a very old country within the Middle East. We have history, we have political heft, and we have our moderate policy inside and moderate policy outside. So through these charter rules and the idea of the Egyptian weight within the international community, specifically in the Middle East and Africa, that's why I would say Giorgia Meloni, she's very confident when she calls the Egyptian political leadership that she's trying to make sure that they will have some warranties or guarantees out from the Egyptian exerted power and efforts through these negotiations to make sure that things will be okay within the European Union. So, at this case, every state within the whole international community is relying on the Egyptian diplomacy efforts being exerted within that, and we would like to have some self-relief and some I wouldn't say some warranties or guarantees, but some good information from that, and that's why they are urging the Egyptian diplomacy to do much more and more within this situation. Hopefully that we can come up with good resolution by then.
Yes, another ceasefire that was tackled during the phone call between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the Italian Prime Minister was the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. How do you see the developments in this important field, especially after leaving hundreds of martyrs in Lebanon for the past few days, despite the ceasefire taking place between the United States, Israel and Iran in another front?
Right, Mr. Bader, and exactly what Israel have committed against the Lebanese territory is a war crime. 100% that's war crime, because right after the U.S. President Donald Trump had agreed to get into the negotiations and to declare a 15-day ceasefire, as you can see, and remember that quickly Israel just directly second day start targeting not only southern Lebanon, but also the capital of the nation, Beirut, and what we so-called the country of southern Beirut, or the county of southern Beirut. And they have, yes, they put down more than 300 retired and massive casualties having there, because it's a very dense area with great population there. And they have also caused more than 1 million people to be turned into an IDPs simply and easily in less than a month before this very massive strike they conducted a couple of days ago. And now I would say is Donald Trump is not pretty much happy what the right-wing government of Israel is conducting within the Lebanese territory, and he is pushing on them since yesterday to stop that, because he knows now they are trying to drag him again into that by targeting the populated area within the Lebanese territory. That's why they would think that the Iranians will strike on the depth of Israel or southern parts of Israel, as they used to do within the last 40 days. And this is how we can get Donald Trump to blow up the whole issue. I'd say not only negotiations, but Donald Trump understands very well now that's a very wicked maneuver by the Israelis, and they will drag everyone back again. So let's assume that he is the only guarantor to impose leverage on that right-wing government of Israel. and trust me, they cannot make it because they have. I mean, the Israelis now, if they are trying to penetrate or intervene or to invade the southern of Lebanon, that's pretty much difficult entirely because they have tried that something like a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, and they sent something like 4 divisions plus 3 brigades, and they couldn't make it. The only thing who held things there is that the agreement of the 27th of November 2024. So I would say the American administration now is aware enough what the right-wing government of Israel trying to do, and they were pushing them because they have sent their Vice President J.D. Vance to Islamabad, and I would say now all on the table would love to come up with positive, good resolutions that would end the catastrophe within the Middle East. Yes, sir.
Yes, Major General Osama Kebeir, we have seen over the past 40 days and ever since the beginning of the war between the United States, Israel and Iran on the 28th of February during the month of Ramadan, the relentless activities of Foreign Minister Dr. Badr Abdulati to be de-escalating the situation according to the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. And today we have seen another contact between Foreign Minister Abdulati and the Algerian counterpart Ahmed Attaf, tackling the same situations, the same conflicts, the United States, Israel and Iran, possible contacts and discussions and negotiations that will be taking place in Pakistan, as well as the latest developments in Lebanon. How would you assess the activities of Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati over the past period, and more specifically for the past 40 days, to be reaching where we are now, the ceasefire between all 3 parties in the Middle East?
Right, sir. And again, the Egyptian foreign minister is doing a great job with them the last couple of years. I mean, let's say the last at least 6 months. You know what? Now some voices would say, why didn't this man will get Nobel Prize for peace? If you heard that, something like a couple of days ago, I heard about that. Because the man is doing a great job and much more effort he is exerting to trying to solve that. He understands with his minister under the directions of the Egyptian political leadership that the area is in a simmering surface that's in between 2 ferns, and the area is about to blow up unless we can contain the whole situation, and specifically in the presence of the right-wing government of Israel. And that's why a great job, great measurements, great standards the Egyptian foreign minister Badr Abdulati is doing. And everybody's witnessing that. We are not going so exaggerating on that now. That's the reality. That's what's happening. And now they understand, the whole world now understand the Egyptian heavyweight within the diplomacy specifically, as well as we have the Greek military also within the Middle East and all Africa continent. So we wish this man a very good luck to him. Hopefully he could come up with good resolutions for everybody, for every state. Trying to calm down, put out the fire, and to come down with the inflammation that hit within the Middle East, and specifically now in Iran and the states of Lebanon. Speaking here about Lebanon and Palestine. Yes, sir.
Yes, you've mentioned earlier, Major General Osama Kebeir, that the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance will be departing, or has already departed, to Islamabad, to Pakistan, to be participating in the make-or-break negotiations between the United States and Iran. Although Iran has insisted there will be measures for the negotiations to be taking place. Do you think that Iran has the right to be having some measures, some terms to be speaking about before the negotiations taking place now?
From Iranian perceptions, I think they have their own mind, and maybe they are like standing on a very hard standoff point. They have a good sort to stand on because they would think from their perception that they could rebel back all the attacks being conducted against them by the American and Israeli forces speaking here. And by the end, the Iranian perception also would have a great trajectory that no one put Donald Trump on the table unless they were very good in fighting back the aggression against their territories. But in here, we would ask and call the Iranians to get much more wisdom, please. Now, we could get to a good table that we brought to you, the Vice President of the United States of America. We have Shahbaz Sharif of Pakistan, Prime Minister, and other mediators speaking about the Egyptian diplomacy, as well as Qatari and Turkish. So in this case, they would say, yes, take your hand off Hezbollah and Lebanon. That's true. But it's not the only way, because if this time we couldn't make it, I mean, or this sort of very baby negotiations, it will be working quickly. I think it's the first and the last one chance we can have here. And as you can understand, it's a sort of tense and very flammable situation. So the Iranians also have had like a numerous big number of massive casualties within their infrastructure, within their factories, within their armament factories, within their programs, within their military, speaking about the Air Force and the Navy Force. So they need to have bread as well as the United States of America. None of them have succeeded to do something unless casualties in here and there. But we would say, okay, gentlemen, now we could find a chance. You have good mediators. You have great diplomacy around you. You have people those are seeking for the peace and for the benefit for all the Middle East, and Iran is a part of the Middle East. So I would say the Iranians need to be much more quiet while negotiating with that, because they have also put 10 points very hard and very difficult maybe to be accepted by the United States of America administration. And this is what J.D. Vance said too. Yesterday he made a speech with the media channels and the journalists in the Budapest airport, as I remember, yes, that was in Hungary. And he said the Iranians need to be much more flexible with us, or otherwise we're going to re-attack them again. I'm not sure if he can re-attack them specifically within the last time. They have had so many problems within the interior affairs of the United States of America, and you can remember that protesters like went down the streets, 8 million protesters. But both sides, I would say Iran and America, they need to get much more quieter, they need to be much more reasonable. They need to get within these negotiations with the great intention, really, to end the war. And that's my opinion about this thing. Yes,
yes.
Sir.
One of the main problems, one of the main sticking points between Major General Osama Kebeir, the advisor at the Command and Staff College, thank you very much for being with us tonight on Nile TV International, and